Hello guys, Robert1 here, coming at you with a new Yu-Gi-Oh video of Yu-Gi-Oh Good or Bad. Now, the reason we're doing another Yu-Gi-Oh Good or Bad this week is because a lot of people have been talking about this new card that's a short print common in Flames of Destruction. And I thought, seeing as so many people are talking about this and all of that, I would throw my hat into the ring as well. But before we get into that, let me tell you what what the future, not even that, old segments coming to mind, what Yu-Gi-Oh Good or Bad is about. It's basically a segment on my channel where I talk about cards that I think have good qualities and also have bad qualities, and then just discuss the two qualities between the two, and then come to a conclusion if I feel like the card is good or it's bad. So today we're going to be talking about this card. Is it good? Is it bad? I'm going to be throwing my hat into the ring, as per se. Okay, you know what? This doesn't nearly get enough praise. If it will come out, I'm going to throw my Millennium item into the ring, my Millennium puzzle. I'm going to create a shadow game, and that's not the I. I'm going to do a shadow game. I love having little pendants like this, like little props in the background, no matter how annoying it is. I knocked Torchic down as well. Oh, so messy when I try to do things. But yeah. Throw my Millennium puzzle into the ring to give my thoughts on this card. So today the card we're going to be talking about, as I said, is something that a lot of people have been talking about, and I thought it'd be a good idea to throw my puzzle into the ring and give my thoughts on it. So the card we're going to be talking about is Waking the Dragon. And Waking the Dragon is a normal trap card with the effect that reads: if this set card in its owner's control has left the field because of an opponent's card effect and is now in the graveyard or banished. So we'll get onto the things in a minute. You can special summon one monster from your deck or extra deck. Now, let's get into the good things about this card, because this effect is very simple. All it is if it leaves the field by an opponent's card effect and either hits the banish zone or the graveyard, you get to summon something from your deck or extra deck. Now, let's get into the reasons why this card is good. First of all, which is kind of an obvious one, if it leaves the field by any effect of your opponent's. Now, what effects could this be leaving by? MST, Cosmic Cyclone, Trickstar Light Stage, Spiral Super Agent, all the rest of them. All effects that can get rid of this. And with the decks in the format that could be playing, which are going to be spirals, it could even be ABCs, because the ABC Dragon Buster banishes it face down. It could even be stuff like it could be anything that could basically put it in the banish zone of the graveyard, which there are a lot of cards that do that. There are in Magicians, there's Time Pendulum Graph, in True Dracos, there's Masterpiece, in Altergeists. There's not really anything in Altergeist. Well, I guess Heavy Storm Duster could put it in the graveyard if you're choosing to use Heavy Storm Duster. There's so many things in different decks that can put cards from the field into the graveyard or the banished zone. And looking at that, Waking the Dragon is pretty decent because of that fact. That's one of the good things about it. Like, if it's sent to the graveyard, you get its effect regardless. If it's sent to the banished zone, you get this effect regardless. And a lot of the cards in the game currently do that, which is always a good thing to look up when you're looking at cards like this, such as if the card is able to, if it's a card in the game that there's a lot of back row removal or any kind of removal in general that can remove cards on the board in general, cards like this will somewhat shine, and that's something really good about the card. and that's one of the reasons why it's in the good points. So being able to just be removed from the field by any card effect of your opponents is really good in my opinion, just because, oh, you removed this, you're going to get punished. But what good cards can you potentially summon off Waking the Dragon that makes the card so good? Well, the first one is Naturi Exterior. And Naturi Exterior is a fusion monster that basically reads, a fusion, while this card is faced on the field, you can negate the activation of a card and destroy it by removing from play one card from your graveyard and send the top card of your deck to the graveyard. So, you send it, so basically, Waking the Dragon goes to the graveyard, you now have Exterior, and Exterior is instantly live because Waking the Dragon is in the graveyard. So you can get just continuous negates of Naturi Exterior, which is really good. Another one, the Last Warrior from Another Planet, which I believe has actually spiked really high thanks to this card, is when this card is special summoned, destroy all monsters on your side of the field, except this card. Bad thing on the card, but still. As long as this card remains face up on the field, neither player can normal summon, flip summon, or special summon any monsters. Vanity's Fiend. Pretty much an unstoppable Vanity's Fiend. Now you can still set, so if your opponent sets like a purple poison, this card is very outable. But the fact is, that this card is very, very good for that fact that you can just stop your opponent from summoning any types of cards. Really, really good. And finally, another one is Raid Raptor Ultimate Falcon, which the only effect we actually care about is it's unaffected by all card effects. And it being a 3/5 beat stick, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. You know, it's pretty good. So, looking at all these different cards and what Waking the Dragon can actually summon, that's a good point in general, seeing as it's able to summon a card like Exterior that can just negate any spell and trap card in the game. You can summon Last Warrior that can basically lock your opponent out of summoning, or you could summon Raid Ultimate Falcon, which can just literally not be done in by anything except for like a Utopia the Lightning, which is not really unlikely to happen, seeing as a lot of people are out of favor with Lightning. So it's really good to see something like this in the game with good points as well, seeing as it's a card that can instantly just summon anything from the extra deck or your main deck as well. And what could you summon out of your main deck that could be really good? You could summon like your boss monster from the deck really easy. You could summon a small combo piece from the deck that you need really easily. If you're playing Magicians, you could summon Purple Poison if you feel like you need Purple Poison. If you're playing my brain. If you're playing Trickstars, you could summon a Multi-Faker from the deck really easy, which is really good when you think about it. If you're playing Trickstars, you could summon a Candina if you've got that Lycoris in hand. You could summon so many different options from the main deck as well, which can potentially help you. Hell, if you're running a Ghost Ogre, you could just summon a Ghost Ogre directly from the deck and have a hand trap monster on board, which is actually really, really nice. So even still, summoning from the extra deck and the deck itself is really, really good. These are good points of the card. Now, there aren't really any other good points for the card because the card is very small. It doesn't have a lot of outside playability outside of that, other than being a nice card that you could just set, have the cards in your extra deck, and just bluff your opponent into non-existence. Which I really think is decent about the card, but obviously that's not always amazing. There are also bad points to the card as well, guys. So let's get into the bad points of the card, because we've talked about the good points where it can summon all these really cool boss monsters. It can summon stuff from the deck, which is really nice as well. But what else? What's the bad things about the card? What's the bad things about the card? Now, the bad things about the card, for starters, is it's a trap card that does absolutely nothing if your opponent does nothing to it. And that's a bad thing about the card. A really, really bad thing about this card. Because if your opponent's not killing it, it's just going to be sitting there doing nothing. And that's a very big problem with a card like this, because if your opponent suspects you're playing or knows you're playing Waking the Dragon, your opponent is less likely to hit your back row, and your opponent will not want to touch your back row, which is a big problem. Because if you've got this card set on the board and you'll just being like, okay, my only hope to win is for them to pop this, but they think you're playing it, they're not going to touch it. And that's a big issue in my opinion. Being that, oh, this card is really good, but it does nothing if your opponent doesn't do anything to it, which is a really big issue with the card in my opinion. Being a trap card that does nothing, and also if your opponent does nothing to touch it, it's just there. It's just sitting in a void doing nothing. And that's a bad thing about this card that I really don't like about it, and that's a problem. Another thing is that it doesn't help your deck do anything outside of the extra deck summoning or main deck summoning. Again, which your opponent needs to do to touch it to be able to do something with it, which is a big problem when you look at it. If the card's not being touched, it doesn't do anything. And not being able to advance your game state in any way, shape, or form because this card does nothing, it's a big problem with the card. Like, honestly, like when I look at a card, I look at how much playability does the card have. How good can the card be in your deck, and what can it do to advance your game state? This card does none of those things. It doesn't advance your game state, it doesn't help your combos, and it doesn't give your deck any stronger potential unless your opponent touches it, which is a big problem when it comes to cards like these. Like, cards like these need something to give them a boost. And sure, this card is already very powerful on its own, being the fact that it can your opponent makes it leave the board, it summons something really powerful. But if your opponent doesn't touch the card, it's doing nothing. And that's a problem with cards like this that I really don't like. It's something that I've always hated about cards like these, that if your opponent doesn't touch it, if your opponent does nothing to it, it doesn't help you in any way, shape, or form. And seeing as it can't advance your game state or advance your combos, it's not going to do anything in that area either. Like, the only thing I could actually see this being as outside of to maybe increase your combo is for discard fodder, and that's only in like the nightmares. Like, what else are you going to use it in? But that's a very bad thing about the card, seeing as it can't increase your game state, it can't increase your combo ability. It can only help if your opponent does something to the card, and cards that are too reliant on your opponent are never that great in my opinion. But those are the bad things, but there are also good things to the card. As I said, like, it can summon Exterior, it can summon Last Warrior, it can summon Ultimate Falcon, it can summon things from your deck that can give you more advantage. Like, there are good things and there are bad things to the card, and that's something that you've got to look at when balancing a card in general. So, what's my verdict on the card? What do I think of Waking the Dragon in general? Personally, it really does depend. Like, if you're up against a deck, like Trickstars, like anything that can destroy back row, like Draco, card is just amazing. The card can't do your opponent will just clear it because they're scared of something else. They won't want to see it on the board, so they'll clear it. But if they suspect something as well, it's not going to get destroyed, and your opponent's just going to be like, okay, we'll leave that card there, we'll go for game. Especially against the Masterpiece. But if your opponent just doesn't want to touch it, it does nothing. So, do I think this card is good or do I think it's bad? Personally, I feel like I'm gonna have to do a rating system in the video now to decide if it's good or bad, or some middle area. I think it's decent. It's not good. It's not bad. It's decent. I would say it's more like. Say, in the format we are currently, where there's a lot of stuff that destroys back row, thanks to Magicians, thanks to Autogeists, and seeing as Brandish are coming out soon, I feel like this card will flourish a bit more. But outside of that type of format, this card will do nothing. If your opponent thinks that you're going to have this, they won't destroy your back row because of it. If your opponent suspects stuff like that, they won't touch it. I feel like the card is just it's good in certain formats, but it's bad in majority of the time. So I have to give this card a rating of decent at best, and yes, I'm going to just start doing decent ratings. But the card is still the card is good in certain situations, but it's bad majority of the time. So card is decent, more so weighing towards the bad side majority of the time, but the good side is also there. But yeah, guys, is this card, do you think this card is really good, guys? Do you think this card is really bad, guys? Tell me what you think of this card in the comment section below, because I want to hear your opinions on this card. I want to hear your thoughts on this card. Do you think I missed anything out in the good area? Do you think I missed anything out in the bad area? Tell me anything you think of that in the comment section below, because I'd love to hear your guys' opinion, and like, see if you can change my mind on this card to see if it's decent, or do you think maybe fully put me on the good side or the bad side. You guys tell me all of that in the comment section below. Give me your thoughts and everything, and I love having discussions with you guys. So yeah. Also, guys, don't forget, if you enjoyed Yu-Gi-Oh! Good or Bad, don't forget to press the like button to show that you enjoyed the segment and want to see more Yu-Gi-Oh! Goods or Bads in the future. And also, guys, if you want to see more future Yu-Gi-Oh! Videos from me, don't forget to press the subscribe button to get those videos in your subscription box. And if you want to be notified of those future Yu-Gi-Oh! Videos, don't forget to press the notification button as well, guys. But yeah, guys, Waking the Dragons, decent card, more so on the bad side to me, but there's also good sides to it as well at times, as I said. But yeah, guys, that's the video. Again, tell me what you think of the card in the comment section below, and I will see you guys next time. Robotbat1, signing out. Waking the Dragon, I will wake you now. Bye, guys. Thanks for watching, guys, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this video for more Yu-Gi-Oh! Videos, and check out the links in the description for the previous video, and the link to my Facebook page where you can see previous videos that I've posted there, and any other information that I may have posted there. I hope to see you guys next time, and thanks for watching.